Hey guys, it's Sammy. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are new. In today's video, I'm going to be talking a little bit about the books that I have read in the past couple of months. It's technically a spring wrap up and my battery's already dying. That's dope. Cool. I've been in a little bit of like a reading slump recently. Like, I've read a lot of books this year so far. It's definitely been one of my best reading years, but I haven't been reading a lot of books that are absolutely new favorites, which sucks, and is one of the reasons why I've kind of stopped series catch up, because I don't know, I wasn't finding a lot of books that I really loved, which was upsetting. But let's talk about the 10 books that I read in spring. This book that I read was The Demon in the Wood, which is a Grisha verse novella by Leigh Bardugo. This was a novella about the Darkling, which I thought was really good. I gave it 5 stars, which is like, why do I give a novella 5 stars? Couldn't tell you, but I did really enjoy it, and I thought it was worth reading, and it was quick, and like I felt like gave me a lot into the backstory of his character, so I really enjoyed it. I don't know if it's like technically a 5-star. My rating system has been whack this year, but it hit different. It hit different. It told the backstory of the Darkling. It was very interesting. I'd recommend reading it if you've read the Grisha trilogy and somehow never read this novella, or you can read it technically before, but I'd recommend reading it after the first book, which I think is technically the publication order. Regardless, the next book I read was Love Boat Taipei by Abigail Heng Wen. I did a whole live show for this with Susan and Sydney. Really great. I'll link it up above. It was on my channel. I really love this book. If you go watch that live show, you'll know I had some conflicting feelings about it once speaking with the other girls in the live show, but overall I think this is still like a 4.5 star, edging towards 5. I did originally give it a 5 star, just because it was like really fun, and I loved the setting. I really liked the plot of it, which is lame because this book is basically Gossip Girl in Taipei. It follows our main character Ever, and she has been having a lot of problems with her parents and with school, and she really loves dance, but her parents send her off to Love Boat, which is this school in Taipei, to take classes over the summer. And it's supposed to be like an educational thing, but Love Boat is aptly named Love Boat, and a lot of people go there to like meet their husbands and have a lot of fun and party, yada yada. And it's really just about her discovering herself and her figuring out what her passions are. And it was really good, and I really liked it. It's so drama filled, and there's a lot of problems in this, but overall I'd say it's a really enjoyable read. I definitely wouldn't go into this if you're expecting to like gain anything from it, but I think that's fine. I don't think just because this book is about a Chinese American main character that it should teach me something. It's just her story. She doesn't have to teach me jack shit about her culture if Abigail Heng Wen doesn't want to. It was a really interesting setting though. I really liked seeing what I did of Taipei, even if it wasn't maybe a lot or anything like that, but it was really enjoyable. I'd still highly recommend it. Definitely be wary of some of the things that are discussed. There is abuse in here. It also touches a little bit on suicide and depression, but overall I'd still say mostly fun and not really deep overall. Next up, the spring months in general just seem to be Sammy reading books at literally the worst possible time. I just talked about myself in third person. I'm so sorry I did that. For the stay home reading rush, I read The Gentleman's Guide to Getting Lucky by Mackenzie Lee. Mackenzie Lee did some shitty stuff doing signatures and writing in authors of color's books and like signing them and sending them off to people. She works at a bookstore. It's not like she just like randomly did this. People would like request that like Mackenzie Lee makes a message in their books when they buy a book from the bookstore she was working at. That was the whole thing. It was really gross, and it came off really terrible, and she was critiqued a lot for it, and I don't think she really ever apologized for it. She didn't apologize very well. On top of that, I became aware that she was writing a story about a trans character, and she was misgendering and dead naming them in the description of her book, and that's still in the works. I don't know if that's like necessarily a her problem or a publishing problem or what, but that also made me feel icky. I did read this. I want to say I read it. I gave it 4 stars. I like the Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue series, or like the Montague siblings series. I read the first book, The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue. I keep saying Getting Lucky. 2017 or 2018, and I really loved it. And this was a novella in it. I did really like it still. Thought it was cute and fluffy, but I feel a little icky still reading from her. yeah, and I don't want anyone to be hurt by her, by me saying I read this book, but I figured I'd be honest and say I did read it. I'd also encourage you to look more into Mackenzie Lee before picking up any of her books or before giving her any money. I don't think I'm going to be buying any books from her in the future just because I just didn't like what she did. Moving on, I started a new series, which was something I wasn't really expecting, but I also read the first book in the series for the Stay Home Reading Rush, and this was also, I'll link up a blog, or my vlog that I made of that because it was really fun and I had a lot of fun doing that readathon, and I actually completed all the books that I wanted to read. But I started the Every Heart a Doorway series, or the Wayward Children series by Shauna McGuire, and I read Every Heart a Doorway, Down Among the Sticks and Bones, and Beneath the Sugar Sky in the spring months, and I really adored this series. I gave the first one 4.5 stars, I gave this one also 4.5 stars, and then I gave Beneath the Sugar Sky 4 stars. So it hasn't hit 5 yet, but I will say that the fourth book I'm reading right now, which is In an Absent Dream, I think it's going to hit that 5-star potential because I am absolutely loving it. But really in general, these are really great books, and the fact I gave Love Boat Taipei 5 stars and I didn't give this 5 stars is kind of sitting with me the wrong way. But Every Heart a Doorway is the first book at least, and I guess I won't really go into the other books, though technically, like, this is technically a prequel to this, but I just recommend you read them in the order that they are published, just because even though these are technically standalones in a series and you can read them without reading the book before, it's just easier. You're not going to get spoiled for anything. You're gonna like read it in the way it was meant to be read. But the Every Heart a Doorway series, at least the first book, follows a bunch of kids that are in this school for wayward children, which is essentially this school that takes in children that have come back from other worlds. So a door will open in our world and these children will go through these doors and will lead them to other worlds. There's tons of other worlds. It touches a little bit into them in here, and this one actually goes into one of those worlds. And then the third book is kind of like a mix, which was, it just wasn't my favorite in that, but this was really fun. It follows like a murder mystery in the school. This, like I said, goes into one of the worlds. I won't say which world or with what characters because I don't want to spoil anything, but this was really interesting because I really love Shauna McGuire's way of how she built this world completely from scratch. It's all super fascinating because I haven't read a fantasy world like this. These are all novellas also. And then Beneath the Sugar Sky was kind of half at the school, half at another world, in a bunch of different worlds actually, and that was super interesting too. I just didn't love like the pacing, that was a little off for me, so that's why it only got 4 stars instead of 4.5. But all of these books have such interesting characters, and they have so many queer characters, tons of diversity in this series, and I'm sure you can find characters in here that relate to you. Super great. I really love the series, and I want to highly recommend it to all of you. So if you get one thing out of this video, it's pick up the series. I really would like everyone to read it. I think I kind of talked about all of those, so I'm not gonna even pull these books down because I just don't feel like putting them on camera. And also in the spring months, I read the last 3 Harry Potter books, and I gave them all pretty high ratings. I gave Order of the Phoenix 4.5 stars, Half-Blood Prince 5 stars, and Deathly Hallows 5 stars, but I don't want to talk about those books anymore. Like in general, like I obviously gave them high ratings. I think they have merit as literature and teachings. I don't even know what I'm saying, honestly, but they're not a new favorite. I'm not going to sit here and try to defend them or say separate the author or separate the art from the artist, because I think that's kind of bullshit, and I've always kind of thought that was bullshit. I don't like want to push my narrative onto you. You want to separate the art from the artist. There's plenty of different discussions right now about that. I do still own the books. They are up here on the shelf. I won't have them in view, but I don't really want to talk about her books. I don't want to promote J.K. Rowling anymore, and I encourage you to research more about what J.K. Rowling has done, her transphobic comments, and just educate yourself as best you can. I want to be respectful of other people's opinions, but with stuff like this, it's really hard to have a conversation, argue about people's lives, and people disrespecting the existence of certain people. So that's just gross to me. So I don't want to support J.K. Rowling, so I'm not going to be talking about her books. Let's move on to my new favorite book of the year. I'm going to be doing the mid-year book freakout tag soon, but I figured I'll just give you a little sneak peek here. This is definitely one of my new favorite books of all time, and I think it's definitely in the top spot right now for my favorite book that I've read this year, and that is The Bride Test by Helen Hoang. This is a adult romance. So good. This is a sequel to The Kiss Quotient, which follows a side character from The Kiss Quotient. It is the cousin of the love interest, is the love interest in here. This mainly follows our main character, Esme, or Esme. In the beginning of the story, Esme is living in Vietnam and she's working in a hotel and she has a child, so she's kind of just like working her ass off to make money for her family. And while she's at her job, she runs into this lady in the bathroom that she's cleaning. She has a conversation with this woman, and basically it ends up with she wants Esme to come over to the United States to meet her son in sort of an arranged marriage sort of vibe, because her son hasn't had like any serious relationships. He doesn't think he wants to get married. He doesn't want love, and it's just so good. I wasn't the biggest fan of The Kiss Quotient, mainly because I didn't love the love interest in The Kiss Quotient, but this book hit because Helen Hoang's writing is amazing. The romance in this was amazing. The love interest in this has autism, and it's just like so good, and it's just like it is so good. I know Chandler from Chandler Ainsley, she talked about how much more she loved this than the first one, or how much she just loved this book in general, and I wholly agree with that. It is just fantastic, and if you like romance, I highly recommend you check out this book. It really took me by surprise because I wasn't expecting to love this as much as I did, and wow, it really hit. This video was a little shorter than I anticipated. Well, it's a little shorter because I refuse to talk about some of these books, but that's okay. You win some, you lose some. We are all just going to be the best we can be, and shit will keep hitting the fan, and we will keep going on. So I think that's all for this video. Keep a lookout for my mid-year book freakout tag, where you can hear a little bit more about my thoughts and like put these books in the categories, because I know I'm never really super great at showing books I love versus books I hate. I will say I haven't read a lot of books that I've actively really disliked this year, which is good. I'm excited to keep reading. I'm on the up and out of my book slump, and I'm excited to be making more videos for you guys. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I will talk to you guys very soon. Bye!